So what do regular people do when they need plywood? They go to a store and they buy it, right? Oh, but not us. At Livspace. No, we don't do that. We insist on custom manufacturing our plywood according to a very, very precise set of exact specifications. Control freaks, if you ask me. They're the sort of people who would walk into a cafe and order a decaf, non-fat, half-sweet caramel macchiato with nutmeg and soy milk, please. Now this video is all about why we are so particular about the plywood we use and about the different kinds of plywood that we offer. But first, what is plywood? Let's look at a cross-section, shall we? See these thin layers of wood. Each of these layers is a veneer, basically a thin slice of, wood. They are also called plies, hence the name plywood. The plies are glued together using a resin, not to be confused with a raisin. That wouldn't work. After being layered, the resin and the plies are placed under intense pressure and temperature for a specific duration, after which out comes a board of plywood. Still confused? Okay, let me illustrate this with a sandwich. These slices of bread are the veneers, the thin slices of wood. These slices of cheese are the resin that binds the bread, in other words, the veneer, together. The bread is layered in an alternating pattern so that directionally, the grain on each veneer are in opposing directions to the other. This helps minimize the natural behavior of wood from bending and warping. Once layered, we place the material under intense pressure and temperature and we wait. When it's done, you have yourself a solid board of plywood. Simple, right? Now, if you tweak the resin and you use different types of resins, you can change the water-resistant properties of the plywood. Clever, isn't it? That's how we make different types of plywood. This is MR grade plywood. MR stands for moisture resistant. The resin used is urea formaldehyde. This plywood can withstand exposure to water at 60 degrees Celsius for a period of 3 hours. This is BWR grade plywood, which stands for boiling water resistant plywood. You guessed it. It can withstand 8 hours of exposure to boiling hot water, followed by a 16-hour soak in room temperature water. The resin used is diluted phenol formaldehyde. And finally, this bad boy takes things up a couple of notches. This is BWP grade plywood, which stands for boiling water proof plywood. This board is tested for 72 hours in boiling hot water, which to me sounds a little bit like a medieval torture method. The resin used here is phenol formaldehyde. So why do we need all these varieties? Well, you should think of it like mobile phones or Bluetooth speakers. You remember hearing that phrase, IPX rating? It's a rating of the water resistance of a device. So a Bluetooth speaker with an IPX7 rating can be submerged underwater at a depth of 1 meter for 30 minutes. Now why on earth would you do that to your speaker? All you need is for it to survive a shower of rain, or at most if it toppled into the pool, you should be able to pull it out and have it working. So why do you need 30 minutes? Well, the fact that it can withstand that torture gives you some peace of mind, no? So similarly, MR plywood is more than sufficient for all purposes. Our AquaBlock technology seals the ply from the elements. But if you have the budget, and if you'd like the peace of mind of engineering your modular furniture with a higher water-resistant plywood, you can. But MR here is all you need. So, why do we get our plywood manufactured to our specifications? Like I said, it's control. Firstly, we like our plywood strong and long-lasting, right? We use A-grade veneers from hardwood trees like eucalyptus and poplar that have no holes or knots. This leads to better adhesion, higher weight-bearing capacities, and extremely high screw-holding capacities. We also ensure perfect calibration so that the thickness of the plywood remains consistent across boards. This leads to cabinets that fit together and function seamlessly. And we also include a layer of anti-termite components to reduce the risk of those pesky termites attacking your furniture. Secondly, our plywood is a lot safer for the end user. Formaldehyde is a component in the resin. You remember those creepy dead animals in your biology lab in high school? They were floating in the same chemical. It's not safe to breathe in large quantities of low-quality formaldehyde, but we use a superior variant that gives our plywood a very low volatile organic compound or VOC emission level. According to European standards, our boards have an E1 rating, while most contractors and carpenters use grades that are E2 at best. I mean, to be fair, I'm sure they aren't even aware of this health hazard. So, that about sums up this video. The plywood we use is stronger, safer, accurately manufactured, and can withstand whatever you throw at it for a long, long time. Can I keep this?
What? Why?
Because my neighbor's got this cat that...
What?
You know what? Never mind.
Did he say he had a cat?
No, forget I said anything. Chal.